Hi everybody. In this video tutorial we will learn about recursion. This is continuation of the function video whatever we have seen. To understand recursion better, consider a very big hall like this, right? Assume that students of the class are seated in this very big hall, and now John, a student who is seated in the last row, wants to know how many rows are there totally in the hall. Okay, so he decides to find it in a different way. That is, he wants to know the row number in which he is seated. So what he does is, instead of counting, because it is a very big hall, it is difficult to count the number of rows by himself, isn't it? So what he does is, he asks the question, one question to a person seated in front of him, and in the row which is in front of him, that is Mike. So he asks, "Hi Mike, can you please say me in which row you are seated?" Right? And what Mike does is, he doesn't do anything else rather than repeating the same question which was posted by John. Now Mike asks the same question to Patel, who is seated in front of him, right? And Patel does the same thing what Mike does. Okay, so he asks the same question to the person who is sitting in the row in front of him. Like this they do repeatedly till the question reaches the person Alice, who is seated in the first row. Now Alice has no one to ask the question, so he answers. Also he knows that he is seated in the first row. He answers one to Jack, who is seated in the second row. Now what Jack will do is, Jack will add 1 to Alice's answer and tell it to Jill, who is seated in the third row. And Jill also will do the same thing. He will add 1 to the answer given by Alice and give it to the next person in the row. And they are going to repeatedly do this till the answer reaches John, right? So John, when the answer reaches John, he knows totally how many rows are there, right? Similar to this is only recursion. So recursion is, in programming language, is nothing but it is function calling itself. Okay, function calling itself, maybe with parameters little bit changed till some condition is satisfied, right? This function calling itself is similar to the task of asking the row number to the person seated in the row, right? Till we did the same thing till the question reached the first person in the person in the first row. Similarly, we are going to call the function repeatedly. The function is going to call itself repeatedly till some base condition is satisfied. Thus, a stopping condition will be base condition, and the other condition we generally call it as recursive condition, right? So now we will see one example, that is when we want to find factorial of a number. What is factorial of number is, for example, 5 is equal to 5 into 4 factorial. When I want to find factorial of 4, I have to say 4 into factorial of 3, right? Like that. So now we are going to write a code using recursive function, right? The main, as we know, main is the function where the execution begins. We have two variables, n and factorial. We get the value of n from the user, and then factorial is the variable that we are going to use for storing the result, right? So we call the function fact of n. As soon as we call the function, the control will go to the function where we check whether n is equal to 0. That is, n equal to 0 is the base condition for the function, right? Because we know the value of 0 factorial. 0 factorial is directly trivial, answer is 1. So what we do is, if n equal to 0, return 1. This is the base condition of the recursive function. Otherwise, what we are going to do is, we are going to say return n into fact of n minus 1. That is, 4 factorial means 4 into fact of 3. Right? We make a call to the function here. So automatically the control will go here with value of n as 3. First call was with n as 4. Now the call will be with n as 3. Now again it will come and check n is not equal to 0. So the control goes here. It says 3 into fact of 3 minus 1. That is fact of 2. So the control will go back here again. Now with n value as 2. Right? N equal to 0? No. N equal to 2. So 2 into fact of 1, it comes here. Now again the control will go here, fact of 1, n 0, no. So it is 1 into fact of this. Like this it goes, right? And when we have reached 0, the control will come here, n equal to 0, and it will return 1. Where this value 1 will be returned as, to the function call where that we made for fact with value of n as 1. For that the value of 1 will be returned. So it will say 1 into 1, that is 1, right? It will return to the function call where we call with fact of 2, right? So we had there 2 into fact of 1. Now it will be 2 into 1, that is 2, right? This will be returned to fact of 3, right? So now we can picturize the same thing. This is how the call stack will look like when I call for fact of 4, right? So in the stack it pushes 4 into fact of 3, right? So to execute this fact of 3, the call stack grows and says 3 into fact of 2, right? Now n value is not equal to 0, so the call stack grows and says 2 into fact of 1. Now n is not equal to, n is 1, n is not equal to 0, call stack grows, and now we will say fact of 0, that is 1, so it will return. Where it will return is, it will return to this particular place. 1 is returned to this particular place, right? Now fact of 1 is replaced by 1. Okay, so 2 is returned to this place, right? So this fact of 2 is replaced by 2. Sorry, fact of 2 is, fact of 2 is replaced by 2. So 3 into 2, 6. Now 6 is returned to this place, that is 4 into fact of 3. So 4 into 6, that is 24. This value will go to the main. This is how a recursive function works, right? There are some functions like Ackermann's function which are purely recursive. Other things like finding a factorial or finding a Fibonacci series can be written in both the ways. That is, either we can use recursive function to solve the problem, or also we can use iterative algorithms, iterative functions to solve the problem, right? This is one way. And in general, recursive functions are not very good, as they will consume more time as well as memory, because there is lot of context switching and so on. It is not good for programming generally, right? Thank you.